Daddy Freeze has come again, this time around. He said religious bodies, especially churches, should be mandated to give free education to children of their members in of their school, or be forced to close down. According to the honored personality, unless we insist on this, the poor will continue to receive half-baked education, while the rich, despite their religious affiliation, will be the only ones having to afford the church schools. I know we have treated this topic before at some point concerning churches, and there are always two sides to every argument. You know, it's always the easiest argument is, oh, why are those churches building schools? You know, it should be free. When the colonialists came, they built schools, it was free. But people always seem to forget that then is different from now. Things are totally different. It's either we want quality education or you don't want it. But let me let Miriam go. Let me hear your views. Do you agree with Daddy Freeze?
I agree with him to a certain degree. I think that churches should make, you know, some sort of concessions for their members. You can't have members, and that's the thing we have in Nigeria. We have rich churches with poor members. And these poor members cannot afford the schools that you build. Well, some people will say directly from the tithes that the members give, which might not necessarily, you know, be true. Some churches say they have other businesses. But the thing is, when you even want to build like your membership, wouldn't it work best for the church to know, for members to know that, okay, if I'm part of this church, you know, I'm likely to have education for my children. I'm likely to... So
it's a way of growing church.
So it's also a way of growing church members. Don't laugh, because actually, now, while I was reading through this thing, this is something that actually happens in the UK. They call it pew jumping, right, where parents actually become Christians, baptize their children late, because there are some church schools in some areas that they want their children to get in. So right, what that does is increases the membership of that church. And
increases your offering.
Increases your offering and all that, because they know that, okay, these are schools that your children can get into.
Extra membership. So, interesting. Yeah. But let me hear your views on this.
Because when we discussed this thing about 2 years ago, I was on your side. You know, I was of the opinion that churches should give more consideration to members within their church that cannot afford it, that we cannot have a case where members contribute to the church funds the school, and then they cannot afford to send their children to that school. They go to a less quality school. But I had to go and ask today, and you know, when we find out, if you do research into history, the churches are talking about, these Catholic churches, the mission schools, they were not funded entirely by the church. The land was a contribution from the society, as in the Oba would come and say, take this land. They didn't buy land. When I found out how much, my children's school land cost 200 million naira to buy, just to buy the land. Under what category are you going to put that one? Because it's costing this. There's no compassion from or compassion from the part of the society. The government will still ask you for land use acts every year for you to pay. We don't have power, so you're powering your generator 24/7. The bills are there. You cannot fund it without having contributions substantially from people attending the school. Now I understand, and I always look at Daddy Freeze that sometimes what he's saying makes sense, but he's not saying it with the intention of solving the problem. If you're saying with the intention of solving the problem, you would deal with the situation that is on ground. We have bad education, and that is not the responsibility of the church, it is the responsibility of the government to provide basic health, basic education.
Can I ask you this question? I'm a member of your church, and I'm paying my tithes. Maybe I'm earning 10,000 naira a month, and I'm paying 10% of that 10,000 to you as tithes. That means if I'm earning 10,000 naira a month, I definitely cannot afford the school where you are going to be paying 300,000–400,000 a term. Do you think that it is right that you are taking my own 10,000, or my own 10% of my 10,000 to provide schools for the richer? Because I find in a lot of these churches, the people that have access to the pastors are the rich.
Not necessarily. I think it's the perception. I think it's the perception, because people always assume that, oh, because you give tithe, everything is being embezzled, or they're taking your money.
I didn't say that.
I know you didn't say that. But the perception out there is that church money is being used to buy jeeps and build houses. Good. Not necessarily. A lot of people use this money to actually develop the communities. Part of providing healthcare, things the government should be providing for, providing schools, better education. Because if these churches had said, I am not building schools, many children would have to go to public schools. And the standard of education there obviously is not up to
if
par.
the freeze wants to deal with this, I believe that it should deal with the government's part. However, back to the churches, I can only speak for my church. And I know that my church funds public and as in public schools. We've built many public schools, supported many public schools. We will not say that for you, church members go to that public school, then I go to this other school. I calculated what we're paying, and my church is actually, our school fees isn't that high as compared to what you're obtaining in terms of quality of education. The truth is, if we all agree, if we are all selfless in giving, we would make education cheaper.
Okay,
but no, we're not willing to do that.
Let me take this call and I'll come to Miriam. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I think what we're talking, I totally agree with that phrase, 300%. We are where we are today, We are where we are today. When we're growing up, all these pastors went to free education, being inculcated with Catholic missions. That's what we call Catalonians. When you go to Europe, as you are sitting in that studio, if you don't have a place to stay, the Catalonians will provide you accommodation, free. They will clothe you. They will give you euro to feed yourself. We come back to Nigeria here. The lady who is talking about church should not give school free. Let me tell you, when we were growing up, I went to St. Peter Grammar School. Free education. Free education, St. Peter Grammar School.
Thank you very much. But do you realize that there are people, even the Baptists or the Catholics, there are people paying from Rome. There are people paying even from the Vatican. They actually support.
I think I mentioned that they contribute every Sunday to the. They have a secondary school in, I think, Ikorodu, and that the Anglican secondary school in Ikorodu is funded by offering every Sunday specifically. People tax themselves in Catholic Church to build Catholic schools. So what I'm saying is different. When you start, and I spoke to a pastor about this morning, the pastor told me that if you task a particular set of rich members and they build the school, then they will tomorrow they'll ask you, I have 5 members that must attend this school whether they merit it or not because they contributed. So they hold it to ransom.
Fail to see that there's a huge divide between the wealth that our pastors are showing now and, you know, the poverty that seems to be in the church. So that is why people would say, if you can afford to buy private jets and fly the world and everything, how do you have these poor people in your church?
Fly private jets. You see, they always put private jets in front as if all pastors in Nigeria are flying private jets.
I don't know about any pastor. In fact, in my own dictionary, maybe no pastor has private jets.
Okay.
But I have seen the affluence that a lot of these pastors show. There is one pastor, his wristwatch are cufflinks.
There's
no spirit of sacrifice.
He's everything.
So we want sacrifice. I agree. Yes. Sacrifice all ground.
Unfortunately, we can't thrash this issue as much as we like to. You know,
what happened?
We've run out of time. It's a topic that we need to really bring out the debate because it's continuous. So we'll make it one of these Wednesdays topic where we have our audience in the building. But the most important thing is that we've agreed that on both sides, yes, the affluence, we don't agree. And also, we also believe that churches also, they're helping the society by helping education and funding education. All right? That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, one of our colleagues is dealing with hearing impairment of his son. We'll have a conversation with him. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So our ears, nose, and throats are a major integral part of our senses. Experts on ear, nose, and throat (ENT) have alerted to the rising cases of ear and hearing-related problems in Nigeria. According to them, about 11.39 million Nigerians have hearing impairment. Joining us on the show is one of our colleagues whose son is presently going through hearing loss. He's here to tell us about his ordeal. Marvin Aremi, welcome to the show. And we also have an ENT surgeon, Dr. Yahaya Sadat Titilaya. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you, morning.
Before we talk about Marvin's son's issue, hearing infection, hearing impairment, how does this start? Because I know my kids, my son, I had to take him to an ENT. He kept complaining about an ear infection, about ear itching and all that. Where does this start, especially in children? How do you detect it, and how do you suspect as a mother that your child needs to see an ENT?
Okay, I'm just trying to use this picture here for easy understanding. Here we have, this is anatomy of the hair. We have, the hair is divided into 3 parts. We have the external hair, the middle hair, and then the inner hair.
Okay.
The external hair is what we all see from the outside. That's
right.
where, when we use the otoscope, that's the only part you can actually see. And you see it from the pinna down to the tympanic membrane. That's the what the layman will call an eardrum.
Right.
And from there, you have the middle hair, where we have the tiny bones, the ossicles, and then the inner hair, where the main, we call it, that's where the factory, more of like the engine house, where signal is being sent to the brain. So simple infection, like we try to discourage most people from using cotton bud. Because I ask a lot of people, you using cotton bud, I ask them, how many of you clean the hand before using cotton bud? You get this cotton bud, just pick it with a dirty hand and put it into the hair. By doing that, you have actually introduced infection into the hair. Wow. And what you have actually also done is, the area, this is the area that has this hair, hairy section, that's the only part that secretes wax. And is normally secreted to cleanse the hair. But in the process of cleaning with cotton bud, you pushed in the wax, and then this area is not used to the wax, and then it causes, after all,
you gotta be kidding me. I clean my ears every day.
You are not supposed to clean the hair, because the hair does it for you. It gets secreted.
But it gets wet and very sticky.
Yes, that's the nature. It's usually absorbed if it's left in the original position where it's supposed to be. So when you push it in, over time, you get, by continuously putting it in, it accumulates, it blocks the TM. That's the drop. And then you can have hearing loss.
Yes.
The infection you've actually used from the cotton bud, if over time you get infected, you have hair pain. And of course, kids that can't talk, they will only, maybe like they're actually more of like pulling the hair. Or you see a child just cry in the middle of the night, and during bath, you find that they move when you're trying to touch that, it hurts them. So it's more of like, mothers have to more of like be sensitive. We tell mothers, please don't clean the hair. The body does it for you. Then some even scrub the hair, saying they want to clean it. You don't need it. So through that pathway, infection can go in. Then, of course, mothers doing breastfeeding, lying down feeding the child, the milk is a good culture medium, can also spread infection through, because they are well vascularized. And then infection can go into any part of the brain. Then, of course, the middle here, you have the middle here, where these tiny bones are, they just attach to the TM. In the process of cleaning with cotton bud, you can perforate the TM. It's also thin skin.
Right.
So this one, why even say cotton bud? Those that use key.
Yes.
That use broom.
Viral cover.
Viral cover.
I mean, so why do we buy cotton buds?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
because when my ear is itching,
yes,
I have to use something to remove, and then I see the wax, I say, my ear is dirty. Right. So I carry the cotton bud and I clean it very well. And then I said, good.
You see, that
put it down. That is one. When my daughter was a baby, I had to take her to remove ear wax because it had blocked. I think it was because I was using lotion and ear. In fact, I made her
stuffing it in.
Jeez.
It was a big wahala for me.
Yes, you were stuffing it.
So that's why but still, I can't agree that when my ear is itching, I should.
Yeah. So all of us.
So I have 2 kids, and you know, towards the beginning, like when they were about 1 to about 3, they had recurring ear infections. But with my daughter, it was that she over-secretes wax. So how do I take it out? Because I do not actually like to, use the cotton bud. Yeah. But we had to take her to the hospital to have the doctor expel the thing out. So what would I use at home to, reduce the wax? I mean, that's one of the questions we'll look at.
The thing is, this part of the hair secret wax, leave it alone. But when you're in the habit of cleaning, the body leaves it for you.
Okay. So if you keep cleaning your ears,
doing the job for it.
You doing it.
Right.
So it leaves his own duty and leaves it for you, and then it keeps accumulating.
Wow.
And when it's not like that, of course, by the time it's accumulated, at times it becomes so hardened up, it gives you pain, which we call otitis externa.
Wow.
Secondary infection can be called otitis media, and then it can give you hearing loss.
Let me pause you for a second, because I need to talk to Marvin. Marvin is our colleague. He works in Max FM. And I know recently you're on Wake Up to discuss about your son. What exactly happened to your son?
We just started noticing when he was, say, around 5-6 months. We noticed he was not responding, like we'd expect. Initially, we all thought he probably was just being snobbish and all of that, but one day he did something funny. He woke up and didn't see anybody around, so he started crying. And the mom was standing right behind him, you know. She started calling and calling. He was still crying. I was walking towards the door. And that was when I said, no, something has to be wrong. You know, and started taking him to the hospital for checkup, went to Lasut. You know, they referred us to BSA, one other clinic. And
so what was the diagnosis exactly? What was wrong with him?
He was diagnosed to have severe to profound hearing loss.
What's that, madam?
Okay. Layman point of view, hearing loss is also like anything, like a disease process that cut off sound from the outer ear down to the inner ear.
Okay.
And then you actually have conductive hearing loss. If you have a cut off from here, from the, pinna down to the cochlea, then you now have a sensorineural hearing loss. Anything that has to do with the cochlea, the inner ear cells, and the nerve.
Okay.
So this one that
what he has is a sensorineural hearing loss.
So it's inside.
Is in the inner ear, where the problem is.
Can it be fixed?
Yes, it can be fixed. It
in
can
Nigeria?
be managed. Yes, miss.
Okay.
Because the issue is actually depends on, like he said, they said it was severe to profound. We have the mild, we have moderate, we have moderately severe, we have severe and the profound. Profound is what we call deafness. But this one has severe to profound sensorineural hearing loss, which in that means that the vestibule, the inner ear, and the cochlea, that's where the problem is. And now, of course, we have we have some, maybe give them hearing aids. If the hearing aids does not work, then you can have a cochlear implant. It's more of like bypassing all this conductive and just implanting in the cochlea.
Right.
Okay, so what I want to know is that, so in his case, will his child be able to hear again on his own, or he will definitely need implants or
surgery?
Surgery.
He will need something to help.
Okay.
Because with the thing now is, he has severe to profound hearing loss. And for a child, as minimal as 5-10 decibel loss, a child needs it for speech and language acquisition. So him having speech, severe to profound. So that means
that's your little son, that's your boy.
Yeah, that's
you've left mild, moderate, and now severe to profound. Wow. Yes, he's going to need it. And the earlier he had, the better.
So would that reverse the problem?
It will, because that's why we advise you do it early. At least from age of 12 years, before the child achieves speech.
Right.
So it's more of like growing into it.
Right.
And then...
How old is your son?
He's about 1 year and 6 months.
A year and 6 months. And I know it's been really hard for the family, knowing that you have a little beautiful boy like this, a handsome boy, and he's not able to hear you guys. And I know you've tried to raise some funds to, you had identified a hospital, where?
Yeah, in India.
In India.
Yeah, I think that's where we got the cheapest, basically.
That was the cheapest surgery. And so far you have about a 2 million naira, and you're looking for about 8 million, right?
We need about 8.4 million.
Right, to do that surgery. And I can understand, because in Nigeria, as much as yes, we can try to find a way to do it in Nigeria, but people are just safer. Let me just, because this is a less than 2-year-old boy.
The doctor is here. She said they can do the operation in Nigeria.
Yes.
Because I saw her face when he was saying he's raising funds. It was like, you people have started again. Why did you?
Yes, it can be done in Nigeria.
Okay.
Of course, it's expensive. It can actually be done in Lasut.
Right.
But most of the ones we've had, most of them were government sponsored. But we have some private sponsored, because the electrodes, which is actually implanted, they're actually expensive.
Wow.
And they ship them from overseas.
How much?
So we can actually get, let's not look at,
yes.
But you can actually get a government to actually sponsor Marvin's son too. Okay?
Yes.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue, because we're going to help Marvin's son.
Yes.
Hopefully to get this surgery. I wish I was Oprah. I would just say, I paid for it, yes! But unfortunately, we can't do that right now. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So, Marvin, the doctor was saying earlier that Jason's surgery could actually be done in Nigeria. Why are you not choosing the Nigerian option?
We actually went to Lasut first. They recommended. But in Lasut, it's more expensive. 10 million, that was what we're told. And we got,
cheaper
a cheaper option. We started looking for cheaper option, because when we heard 10 million, it was like,
So for India,
get
plus
that
your
kind of
travel, through your feeding everything is
inclusive.
8 million.
8
Wow.
million.
And so far you have 2 million naira.
Yes.
Okay, so to help you, obviously, last time YK talked about, what's the lady's name? Moses, the lady that was shot her.
Yes.
Joy Musa's story.
Musa's story.
We got lots of help from different corners. People called us from all over the world. So it was important because you're our colleague. Say, you know what, let's bring you on the show again, talk about Jason and see if, for those who want to help Jason to get the surgery, so you can send the numbers. We'll give you the bank details.
Okay.
Or we'll post it on our Instagram messages and our social media so that people who
Facebook,
want to, you can call us if you want to support Jason to get this surgery. But talking about prevention, because there's an aspect of how did this occur in the first place? Doc, what can a mother do, or what can the parents do to stop, not to get to this point we are looking for?
It actually starts early detection is the best. Reproductive mothers, when they are planning pregnancy, please watch what drug you take. Not all fever and malaria, because anti-malarials have been known to destroy hair cells. If taken at the early age, like in the first trimester, and then the child comes out with a hearing impairment. Then, of course, during pregnancy, early registration at antenatal clinics. Hypertension, those that have hypertension, diabetes, being monitored well, because if you have eclampsia, pre-eclampsia, that can actually destroy the blood supply and actually impaired hearing when the child is being born. Then, of course, apart from that, some are genetic.
Okay.
More of like find out if there's any past history, any family history of someone with hearing problem, so you can actually look out for it, screen for it, and actually detect it early. Then, of course, the thing now is among the young ones, the use of headphones. You see everybody moving around with earphone on the streets, so loud. What you're actually doing is you can actually perforate the TM, destroy the ossicles, damage the hair cells over time.
Wow.
Generators, loud sound, because the more you're exposed to this loud sound, you have like a maximum level at which you should actually have these things.
In fact, most Nigerians have hearing impairment right now. Because have you noticed that we all talk with very loud voices?
Yes.
Because we are not talking above generator sound, with traffic sound, that sound. In fact, there was once they called police for us in Paris, our band, because we were just ordinarily talking, so they thought we were having a party. So they entered. Police, no, we are just talking.
Yeah.
You're right. You're very
What I wanted to ask, because you said that using anti-malaria drugs early in pregnancy has been linked to having a child with hearing problem. Yes. But they don't let you, you don't register, they don't take you serious if you say you're pregnant and not 3 months yet. And this damage probably occurs in the first 3 months of pregnancy. If you go to general hospital, they'll be like, come back after 3 months.
Yeah, that's why, it's like when it's like, there's all these hyperemesis gravidarum. People take it as malaria, which is actually not malaria. It's just that you are feeling sick, it's not you. So people on their own go and take these medications.
right.
So it's more of like, at this early, when you start feeling any symptoms, just don't go buying drugs and taking.
Especially
because especially if you're in childbearing age, you don't know what, either you are pregnant or not.
So let me take a few tweets.
Yeah, that's a few tweets.
He says, when I was a kid, I had an ear infection. My mother always applied TCP to it. It worked 100% all the time. When I grew up, the infection stopped. Same thing applies to my brothers and sisters. I just wanted to...
Unfortunately, we don't have time. We just quickly, I'll give it 10 seconds to respond to that. TCP for ears.
No.
Okay, we can't move forward. We can't say more than that. I think this ear, nose, and throat is a major topic we need to discuss because people, I'm shocked that the fact that I clean my ears every day is wrong. So we still need information on this. But for Jason's surgery, you give us the details, the phone number, the account details. So our viewers, because we have lots of viewers who helped out Joy Musa, and we also spoke to a few government officials who are willing to help Joy Musa. So hopefully we can see what we can do to help out. We don't do this often, but because, as I said, Marvin is our colleague in the office, and to be almost unfair, I want to use this platform to assist Jason to get that surgery. So we wish you the best, and we hope that by God's grace, this surgery goes smoothly and Jason gets his hearing back. All right?
Amen.
That's all we can take on the show. Don't forget again to be part of our live audience on Wednesdays, which is tomorrow. Come early by 8 a.m. so you can get a seat. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.